We got voicemails, Ian. You go to
Anchor.fm
/ the CU podcast. Wow, you got the .fm right. Proud of you there.
Thanks.
You can leave us comments about how Pat's a Puritan for not wanting a Pokemon getting shot in the face.
Puritan, that is the word I was looking for. It is very puritanical.
Call me a prude.
The sentiment was there.
Yeah, Ian, we know what you're saying, but I had to call that as it was funny.
Hey, boys, how you doing?
Me.
This is Tootsie Daiquiri calling from the Hudson Valley region in New York.
Okay.
Just wanted to stop by, show a little love,
Thanks.
see what's going on.
Let me find his voice.
If Tommy Two Shoes is giving you any trouble, let me know. I'll have Ginger Snaps take care of it.
Hey!
All right? Now back to business.
All right.
What's going on with this Halo Infinite multiplayer? I mean, me personally, I was always a Halo 3 guy. Level 50s in every ranked playlist. Team doubles, Slayer, Lone Wolves, Shoddy Snipers, MLG, the whole bit. What's the incentive for me with this multiplayer now? Just to go up against the ever-grinding wheel of microtransactions, cosmetic skins, and more? Anyway, my time's up, boys. Bada bing.
Hey, what's this world coming to?
Thanks, Tootsie Smackins, or whatever your name was.
I'll call him Johnny Halo. Nikki Halo.
I don't know. I mean, you can still play the multiplayer for like the joy of playing the multiplayer, and you don't have to grind against it. But I think what he's getting at is like, all of these online, games these days, the daily incentives and shit like that the way these games kind of sink their hooks into you and try to get more and more time out of you instead of just playing.
Hey.
And I agree with that.
Hey, I play Raid Shadow Legends. I know the
Leggings.
struggle.
Raid Shadow Leggings.
I'm allowed to have one
leggings.
misspeaking. Ian?
I'm on it. You
All
caught me for prude.
That was a misuse of a word, Ian. Come on.
It was misuse of leggings.
Hello, Ian.
Whoop.
This is Michael out of Toronto, and I was curious about your thoughts on accessibility menus in video gaming. I'm a disabled person who was out of video games for a couple of console generations, and I've been particularly impressed with the rise of accessibility menus, particularly with games like Psychonauts 2 and the new Forza. I was just curious if there was any particular games that stood out for you for accessibility menus. If that's something you pay attention to, maybe if there's features that we could implement in future games. So, just curious about your thoughts.
I am lucky enough to not have any major disabilities, so I don't spend a lot of time going into the menus, but it's obviously something I would like to see more of. And I'm glad that more games are opening themselves up to gamers who have disabilities. It sounds silly to mention it, but I am always tickled pink when I see a good color blindness option in a modern video game that changes reticle colors and stuff like that, and it really does. It's a huge boost to my enjoyment of the game to actually be able to play it and see it properly. So I can only imagine what it would be like for someone else with a different disability. I have I'm looking a little bit at the assist features in the Psychonauts 2 for instance, and there's invincibility that you can turn on. There's no fall damage. Narrative combat, I don't know what that means. Narrative combat gives your guy a buff to combat damage so players can focus more on the story and action taking place without having to be overly strategic. I think these are great ideas, and I think that honestly they should, if it's not a huge deal, throw these into the games. Let people enjoy the game. There's a lot of people who think that it's going to, if I'm not saying force developers to do it, but people are like, if you force developers to do it, it's going to ruin their image or ruin, what their vision of the game. And yes, it very well might, but it's better than a person not being able to experience it all. I do think that personally, if you take the difficulty out of a game like Dark Souls, you've kind of
ruin the
point of what Dark Souls is. But if someone wants to be able to play around with Dark Souls and experience that game and examine the world, I don't see why they shouldn't be able to
get them in easy mode.
I don't. Right. I wouldn't. I would probably just not play the game, but I get it. Not everyone can do that. So yes, I think that it's a good idea, and there should be far more of them.
Hey, Ian, it's Brad from Whippany again.
Whippany!
I know over the years on the podcast, you guys have covered a lot of bad ill-conceived or outright fraudulent
Really?
crowd-funded retro video game products.
I don't remember any.
I was just wondering if there are any that have stuck out to you in the opposite way, something that was really good, or something that exceeded your expectations, or something that you're really impressed with. Thanks. Bye.
Well, I can't think of any crowdfunded ones that have impressed me. I'm impressed with what the Evercade team has done. I am.
I'm impressed with what the Evercade team has
They
done.
did what they've set out to do. It's not overly extravagant. It's still clever. The little ecosystem they have with the handheld versus the console, and and it's reasonably priced.
I think
it's physical media. It's physical. It promised and gave you physical media.
I mean,
Yeah.
so I can't think of any Kickstarters, but in terms of retro stuff that's done right that I think is always good, I'll just use this opportunity. Yes, the Evercade stuff, whether or not it's going to be something you use is going to be entirely up to your scenario and what you want to play. However, I think the system, how they present the games, their PR, I think the Evercade is a great product if you want something to collect that is old games. By all means, go for it.
Doesn't try to do too much.
I think Retro Bits stuff is really good in terms of retro releases and re-releases. I think that stuff tends to be very good.
For hardware?
Yeah,
Just for software. then.
Yeah, again, when you were talking about like the cases and stuff,
Okay.
their cases are always good. Their print material is always really good. I like all of that. And
I brought that up in relation to the hardware. That's all. That was
I had one other thing.
just
too.
because all of them promised physical media, and this is the only one that delivered a console with physical media.
Oh, and I like the Retrocade stuff too. I think that was originally maybe a Kickstarter before they went on. I can't recall. Replicade.
I was saying, okay, Replicate, yeah.
Yeah, not Retrocade. Replicade. I think that started as a Kickstarter, and I'm impressed with everything I see from them.
Hey Pat, hey Ian, it's Foxandra from New Jersey.
Go, go!
The
Joyzy.
time of this recording, it is 5 a.m. Do you two want to know what I'm doing right now? 5
Yes.
in the morning?
What?
I'm sitting here with archive.org open, scrolling through images of old Shareware collection CDs to see if I recognize the one I got from a computer show back when I was a kid, because apparently I love digging through haystacks for needles. I vaguely remember what the CD looks like, and it has a bootleg version of Street Fighter 2 for DOS that replaced Vega with some dude named Andy. I don't even think it was Andy from King of Fighters. It might have just been some random guy named Andy. Anyway, I'm doing this because there's some garbage FPS on it I played back then that's been stuck in my head for 2 decades that apparently never existed. And I'm not going to describe it because every time I do, people say, oh, it's System Shock. And no, it's not System Shock. Stop telling me it was System Shock. I know what System Shock looks like, and it wasn't that. I'm going to go insane if I don't figure this out. Anyway, I was wondering if you guys ever went bonkers trying to remember some old weird game like this, too.
I need some sleep, Vox.
Sleep, lady. No. However, not a specific game necessarily, but a song. I once had a Nintendo background, a video game song stuck in my head. I could not remember what it was for the life of me. It was stuck in my head from my early teens until my early 20s. And one day, I had stopped looking for it. I had stopped searching for it. Couldn't figure it out. Bought a used copy of Jurassic Park for the Nintendo at the flea market. Came home, popped it in. It was the first level music from Jurassic Park that had been stuck in my head for 10
Wow.
years.
A little psychic stuff going on.
Yeah, it was crazy.
There was a game. Yes, there's boobs involved because, I was a teenager.
Boobums.
So we had our version of Sam's Club was BJ's Wholesale in Jersey. This was like, I'd say early to mid 90s, probably 92, 93. They used to bundle big box PC games that were years old and do like a 3-pack. They would just cellophane them over like $15 for like 3 box games. These weren't popular games. They would have them in a box or whatever. The same way how, KB would have their box of PC stuff that was a few years old, but these were bundled packs. There was one game that was scandalous to like a 12 or 13-year-old Pat, because I remember on the back of the box, it showed you like trying to like hit on a woman, but it wasn't Leash Larry. And then there was another thing where it looked like it was somewhat like a wet t-shirt thing. But this is like, it wasn't like a really dirty game. I searched for years. It's a game called Bar Games. from I think it's Accolade did it. It's a bunch of mini games. There's air hockey. I think there's darts, but I don't know. There is a little like multiple choice thing to try to hit on someone to like get their number or take them home, but it's PG, but it's like the right things to ask. But there is a wet t-shirt thing, which I believe is both men and women. But it's again, I found the YouTube video. They walk across the stage and you have to time from above, emptying buckets of water on them. And then the more you do it, the more you reveal the wet t-shirt on it. So this game was in my head for like over 20 years. I'm like, what? I'm like, did I dream seeing this game? Did I dream seeing this?
Power.
And I found it a couple years ago online. I might have searched like a Banyanware site or whatever. Yeah, Bar Games was mine. That was it. I was like, what the fuck is this game? Did I make this up? How can there be a wet t-shirt game on the console?
Hey, Pat and Ian, it's Sean from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I have a quick question. I am getting ready to move in with my new fiance, and I am trying to figure out a good way to go about insuring my collection. I've started to do the documentation on a majority of it, but I'm just trying to figure out, is there a particular place that you would go through for insurance for a pretty substantial collection?
Okay, there is.
I wish I could help you, but
there is collectibles insurance places. There's one that used to always go to Comic-Con every year.
Yeah, I remember.
They always had a booth there. Mm-hmm. Collectible, what is it? There's the main one is collectibles insurance. There's a couple. Collectinsure.com. That's the main one being advertised here. That's the one I believe that's the main one. In theory, all your personal belongings are part of your homeowners or renters insurance.
Yes. I was going to say renters insurance, from what I hear, is actually a very good thing to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it covers not just your personal belongings. If I slip and fall in your kitchen, how are you going to cover my expenses? I can sue.
Get the fuck out of my kitchen.
Well, it's too late. You know, I slipped on your cold toppings pizza. So you need, and a lot of, it's required to own a house to have homeowners insurance. Not everywhere, but a lot of places it's required to have renters insurance, so you're not liable if something happens to you.
Right.
So you can keep paying your rent if you get sued or something happens or something. So the point is that on your insurance policy, there will be personal belongings to a certain degree. That's maxed out, whether it's $50,000, $100,000. If you have other forms of collectibles, like sometimes you have to get an extra rider or get more insurance on, like if you have jewelry or whatever. You don't, in theory, need that. But the problem with video games is that the people running these insurance companies have no fucking clue how to price out video games. It's not like pricing out anything else, like jewelry or fine art. Like, that's the one positive thing about this insanity the past few years. It helps establish that video games are worth a lot of money in the public eye, so the insurance companies can be like, oh, I see.
Right. Insurance will actually take you seriously.
Yes, they won't just be like, oh, these games are $2 each. You know, say if I lost my NES collection, we'll give you $5 a game. I'll be like, what? That's not a replacement cost. Or, that's, you know what I mean?
Suck my butt.
Because I've heard that can be a thing where it's like, oh, we'll give you amount of money per game. Thinking that all games are equal. Like,
no.
Like every Genesis game is going to be NBA Live 95. You know, like, no. There's also Gargoyles. There's also, Castlevania Bloodlines. They don't care. So, like, I'm not saying you should go get separate collectibles insurance or not. It's up to, I guess, your insurance company, but you should definitely document everything you have, videotape it, have lists of things so that you can say, hey, listen, this is all the stuff I had, And if something is super, 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 super expensive, you might think about putting your shit in a bank vault or in a safe deposit box. Like I have some stuff. I do a few more here.
Hi, Pat. Hi, Ian. This is Vince from Northern California. Ian, this question's for you.
Okay.
I noticed I just got a package of Skittles with lime in them. I'm not talking all lime. I mean the normal red Skittles package with lime instead of green apple. Just got to know your thoughts, man.
Oh, I'm extremely happy. It's like one of the most joyous occasions. Skittles were my favorite candy growing up. Favorite. Could not beat a bag of Skittles. The beauty with which lemon, lime, orange, grape, and strawberry mixed together. The way every taste of the rainbow was delicious but slightly different. It was a harmony. And then Skittles decided they needed to get fucking fancy, and they replaced lime with green apple.
They went woke. They went broke.
I'm gonna hit you.
Why would they do that? Like, why would they think that?
Because they wanted to chase short-term headlines
to get news.
Gotcha. So they did like a contest where they were like, "Oh, we're going to replace lime with green apple," and then they were like, "Vote on it," and then people were like, "Yeah, we love green apple," and then like within a year, people were like, "This sucks. Green apple does not mix at all.
It's not citrusy
at all.
It's not
with
citrusy.
Strawberry, grape, lemon, orange, and lime.
It took out a citrus.
It completely threw off the balance of Skittles and ruined what was one of the most delicately, finely balanced candies.
Lemon and lime, lemon, green apple? No.
In history.
That's bad.
So 7 years, 8 years, they've let this happen, if not longer. And this isn't the first time they've done it either. Ooh. First time they did it, they took it back to lime very quickly. But for like 8 years, we've had to deal with lime. And then last summer, they did with green apple. Last summer, they did all lime bags, which I got some of.
Okay.
But it was a slap in my goddamn dick. Because I told Skittles, I got on the Twitter and I told them to their face. I said, Skittles, this is fucking bullshit. We just want lime back in the regular bag. I don't need a whole bag of lime Skittles.
So then you filter some into each bag you get?
You're a fucking asshole. Yeah. So that's what I did. I went and I bought regular bags of Skittles with the green apple. I took out all the green apples and I counted and I replaced them with lime. And I made multiple bags of original, and I shook them. And for a couple months, I enjoyed really delicious original Skittles. Right. And then they were like, yeah, we're going to have them back in stores by October. They did not. Must be that chip shortage that's affecting the Amico. It's affecting Skittles as well.
Skittle shortage?
They did not get the lime back in the regular bags until January. But if
this month?
Yeah, this month. Okay. But if you're asking, have I purchased Skittles since? The answer is yes.
Oh, Jesus.
The answer is yes. I have purchased a lot of Skittles since. I told Skittles all they needed to do to get me back as a customer, to make it my sixth food group, again, was to put lime back in, and they did.
I'm glad, Ian.
That's really the big news.
That's
the big news of this 300th episode is lime is back.
Our Skittles national nightmare is over.
Thank God.
Hey guys, it's John from Houston, Texas again. I was just thinking about when I was a little kid going up to Blockbuster on Friday or Saturday, and there were some games that I just wouldn't pick up because of the horrible box art. What are some games that y'all can think of that have horrible box art, omitting Mega Man 1, of course, that are actually really great games to turn on to people? Thank you.
Half the TurboGrafx library. We talked about something like that.
Yeah, the TurboGrafx library is bad.
It's horrifying how bad it's like a 10-year-old did the art in some of those.
The Master System graphics, box art is pretty bad,
same
too.
person.
Yeah, it's definitely different, but it's very simple. The Alex Kidd box art is like some of the worst.
It's just this little fist.
Hey.
The pro wrestling, one of the guys holding a decapitated person's holding a head in a headlock, but it's his head. It's like who approved that?
Right, it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Like the tennis game's just a tennis racket. Like the sports games are really like at baseball. There's a bat. Like it's so simplistic. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. In terms of like NES games, there's a lot of NES games with bad box art. When you really Ghost Line is one of the ones that I always go to.
Mm-mm.
Where it's
bad.
It's like an 80s video with a blonde on the cover. It's like what game is this? Like what is this about? You can't tell.
Promo art for the new Bengals album or some shit.
Do you think that this generation is going to last longer? Do you think we're going to move on in the standard 5-ish years, or are we going to see the market kind of stop with the hardware upgrades? Curious what you think.
We're always going to have to upgrade hardware, but I think these 5-year, 6-year things won't. It only makes sense if the manufacturers need more money. Like if that's how they make their money. Like every 6 years you need a new console, every 7 years. Otherwise, I think we're getting to the point where like we're going to be diminishing returns, and the old hardware will be acceptable as long as it's supported. Because we're always seeing that we're seeing that with obviously with computers. It's just okay, get a new graphics card every 5 years, and you should be good. You know, like the speed is becoming less and less an issue. It's now just is memory faster, and what's the power of your GPU? That's what's been happening more and more with stuff. But you know. like I said, it depends on if they support it. If they stop supporting PS5 games 5 years from now, you got to get the PS6. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Because we still got to do the ray tracing. That's the final frontier. You get that ray tracing going.
Are hardware upgrades as required as frequently now? No, I don't think you need them as much, but I think we're going to see them just as often because it's a money, like you said, it's a money making.
Yeah. Unless it's Microsoft that says, you know, we're done with consoles. Game Pass took over the universe in 5-10 years. So we don't care anymore.
Right.
We don't have to worry about manufacturing shit and having chip shortages, and who cares, as the profit margin isn't that great anyway, if at all, on this stuff. Yeah. We'll see. Do one more?
Sure.
We'll check in with
special someone.
I don't know. This is a different person, I think.
Hey, you don't know me. Tommy left his phone here last night. This is Tony. I'm his ninth cousin, Tony Tallarico from Palermo, Sicily. Yeah, Tommy come over here last night. He said, hey, Tony, I want to show you this thing, Miko. I said, oh, Miko, like a friend. So I plug it in, I sit down, I play with it for 5 minutes. I said, here's sitting on my friend. I said, how much money people paying for this? He said, $250. I said, oh, that's not so bad, $2.50. He said, no, 200. I said, 200? Madonna, pazzesco, spettacolo. Shit, if my mother, she had 40 kids. 40 kids. We had no money for nothing. No toys, no games, no soccer ball, baseball, forget about it. If we had this thing in the house, I mean, in 1962, we never would have touched it. Nobody would have touched it. Maybe the cat. The cat would use it for that piss and this shit, like, hey, como se dice, the box, the little box. Anyway, I gotta give this guy his phone back now. Stonada, imbecille, cretino.
All right, Tony. Tony, let me know if you ever get Tommy's phone again, Tony.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not. That was Tony.
The piss of shit.